Hey everybody, hey. Yeah, I was thinking as I'm driving, reflecting over what I studied earlier today in the book of Samuel, actually 1 Samuel, as I try to stop at this red light. Oops. I was reading over 1 Samuel, and many of us are familiar with that verse. I believe it's in verse 22, where it talks about obedience is greater than sacrifice, or obedience is better than sacrifice. And we're familiar with that. And so I read that verse, and then I backed up and I read the whole chapter 15. And it's talking about Saul. Saul was commanded by God, him along with his soldiers, to kill this group of people called the Amalekites, to kill them, the men, women, children, infants, even all of their livestock, the donkeys, sheep, what else? Donkeys, sheep, goats, or camel, or whatever. God commanded Saul to kill them all. You've got to read the chapter for yourself, but it is so deep, y'all. And Saul and his soldiers went and did most of what God commanded for him to do. They kept the king alive, the king of the Amalekites, and also they kept some of the sheep and the donkeys because their plan was to present them to God as a living sacrifice, as a burnt offering to God. And they felt like they were really doing something, by keeping the king alive and bringing the king to the Lord, as well as keeping some of the sheep and the donkeys. So they were going to sacrifice them to God. And so I'm reading it, y'all, and it goes on and talks about how Samuel, he goes to Saul and he's like, dude, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, dude, you didn't do everything that God called you to do. And Saul was like, seemingly confused, like, I went ahead and completed the mission. I killed everybody. But I did keep the king alive, and I did keep some of the best of the sheep and the goat, or the sheep and the donkey, to present to God, and that's where that verse comes from, that obedience is greater than sacrifice, because Saul was thinking that, he's got these cattle or sheep and goats that he's going to, or sheep and donkey. I'm sorry, I'm driving and trying to think about what I'm saying. But he think he's doing the thing because he's going to present these animals as a sacrifice. And because of that, the Lord rejected him as king over Israel. And I was thinking about, wow, think about how many of us received clear instruction from God as to what we're supposed to do. There is no doubt in our minds what God's called us to do. And we only do the majority of what he said for us to do. And we think that God is going to be pleased with us. How many of us do not follow through for whatever reasons? Maybe we're worried about how we're going to appear to our peers. Maybe it seems so extreme, so severe, so think about it. God was like, I want everybody killed and gone, adults as well as children and infants. And it does sound pretty severe, but God is like, don't question me. When I tell you what I called you to do, if I commanded you to do a thing, you are to do it. And don't think that just because you did only part of it, that I'm going to be pleased with you. And because you walk in disobedience, I am rejecting that blessing from you. That blessing that I had lined up for you, I'm going to take it from you and I'm going to give it to someone else. Y'all, that really got my attention. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, man, how many times have I been disobedient to God by doing most of what he called me to do? And I'm thinking about something specifically that I am sure that God has commanded me to do. And I decide that I'm going to go ahead and do only part of it. And so I just hope this video helps you and blesses you to where you can course correct. Some of the blessings we've missed out on, we may never get them again. We may never have a chance at it again. You know, it depends on God's grace and mercy. But I know from what I read in the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 15, God took that blessing away from him. He took that kingship, or Saul was king. He took that away from him and he said, I'm going to give it to someone better. And he gave it to David because of his disobedience. Y'all remember that obedience is greater than sacrifice. And when God tells you to do a thing, he is very clear on what he's telling you to do. And if you think that I'm going to do most of it, but this other part, I'm going to go ahead and leave that there, know that there are great consequences of it. You may very well lose the blessing that God had lined up specifically for you, and he gives it to someone else. So I just thought I'd go ahead and share that with you. It's been on my mind since I studied it this morning, and I pray that I will walk in obedience as close as possible to it going forward. I don't ever want to miss another blessing that God has specifically for me. And I pray you receive this as well, so that you will also not miss out on the blessing with your name on it. Alrighty? Alrighty. Until next time, Carlotta Berry will see you later. Always know God is real. He loves you. He's rooting on each and every last one of us to win. Walk in obedience to the Lord. Okay? And don't do part of it, because by doing part of it, that is walking in total, full disobedience. Alrighty, y'all. See you later. Have peace. Take care. Bye-bye.